Once again, it's on. You know what time it is. It's time to play some toss. Welcome, everyone, to episode 83. That's right, 83 of the Tristan On Sports Show Toss. It is your main man, your friendly neighborhood T-Squared Tristan Thomas. Thank you all so very much for joining us this week. What do we got on tap? It's an all-state of the state episode of Toss this week. We're talking Milwaukee Bucks. They take a series lead, something they were not able to do against their opponent in last postseason's matchup. We got to talk about that. The Green Bay Packers OTAs are currently happening, and there's a lot of people missing. Their quarterback had some words for Kenny Mayne in an interview on Monday. And the Brewers, we got to talk about them because they've been going through a swoon, but maybe they're starting to right the ship. We'll talk about what's going on with them, but you all know how we get things started here on Toss. We get things started with the state of the state, and that is where we will stay all episode long as we talk about the state of sports in the state of Wisconsin. Let's start off with those Milwaukee Bucks as they have taken a 2-0 series lead against the Miami Heat in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs in the NBA. They were not able to get a lead at all in this series last postseason. Like I said, the bubble was weird. There were a lot of things that just weren't jiving right for the Bucks, and it all came to a head in that semifinals matchup against the Heat. And again, people forget that team went on to win the Eastern Conference Championship, went to the NBA Finals, lost against the Lakers. They were a really good team. They were probably the hottest team in the league, both defensively. They found a way to get it done offensively. But we ain't in the bubble anymore. We ain't in the bubble anymore. That weirdness that was there for the Bucks is not there. It's not there. It's a completely different matchup. It's a completely different team. And we're seeing those results now. I talked about that weirdness not being there. That pandemic weirdness, that bubble weirdness not being there for the Bucks anymore. But that's not to say that they weren't without challenges. They did go through their ups and downs in a regular season. A regular season that saw them go 46-26. It wasn't always pretty, but they got the job done. The thing that really encouraged me about the regular season, and no, they don't have to go and win 50-plus games. You know, in a season where you're only playing 72 games, I didn't expect them to win 50. I expected them to be in that 40, mid 40 to high 40 range. That's like winning 50-plus games. In a 72-game season, you win 46, that's like you winning 56 in an 82-game season. The thing that had me encouraged, even though it made me grow more gray hairs and pull some of my hair out, was the fact that they did have challenges along the way in the regular season. The fact that they were trying new things, and sometimes they just were not good. They just failed miserably. But the thing you have to remember is that as a team, you are always constantly learning. And again, ad nauseum, and I know you guys are all tired of hearing me say this, but I have to say it again. With the roster overturn that they've had, no preseason games whatsoever, a shortened training camp, a shortened turnaround from offseason back into the season. All that played a factor in the Bucks' journey to this point, and especially in the regular season. Guys were still learning each other. You had some guys that were injured. You made some moves during the season. It takes time to get those pieces together. It takes time to learn each other's games. It takes time to gel. So they went through their ups and downs. They had their challenges. Mike Budenholzer, one thing that is a big knock on him is the fact that he does not adjust. And if he does, it's way too late. Even he went through some growing this season. Learning how to make adjustments. Learning how to make them sooner. Recognizing some things, you know what, that ain't right. Let's try this. Understanding that regular season dominance means nothing. It's all about how prepared are you to play in postseason. And I'm not saying that the regular season is worthless. You have to win regular season games to qualify for the postseason. So I don't want anybody out there trying to hate on me, DM me, talk to me, saying, oh, well, you just poo-pooing the regular season. I'm not poo-pooing the regular season. The regular season is very important. Again, that's how you become a team. That's how you gel. That's how you learn how to play with each other and get better. But if you have championship aspirations, you have to understand that regular season dominance means nothing. It's all about how equipped are you to play in the postseason. Case in point, Bucks had the number 1 seed for the past 2 seasons. Where did that get them? Year 1 under Mike Budenholzer got them to the Eastern Conference Finals. They lost in 6. Year 2, it got them bounced in 5 games in the semifinals. That number 1 seed means nothing. Yeah, it's great if you can get it. It's great fodder for local media. But just because you're the number 1 seed does not necessarily mean you are equipped to play postseason basketball. And when you look back at those first 2 years under Mike Budenholzer, this team was not equipped to handle the rigors of postseason. That includes Mike Budenholzer himself, with his lack of adjustments. The roster has gotten better. The adjustments have gotten better. The play has gotten better. The execution has gotten better. And we're seeing that this regular season really taught lessons. It taught lessons on how to win games differently. Because come postseason, you're going to have a lot thrown at you. And you have to be able to win games in different ways. And in this series, 2 games in, we've seen the Bucks have to win 2 different kinds of games. Let's go back to game 1 from this past Saturday. That game was a gritty, back and forth, multi-lead change kind of close ball game where execution was important, where shot making was important, where there were many magnified moments. And these are moments I felt last season in this postseason matchup against the Heat, the Bucks failed in. They would get out to huge leads on the Heat and end up with the L when it was all said and done, because they were not executing. The moments were way too magnified for them. They found ways to beat themselves. Mike Budenholzer was stubborn, didn't make the adjustments fast enough, if at all. You go to Saturday's game and you could see the wheels turning, adjustments being made. Okay, less switching. Okay, boom, we got that. Okay, we're not really shooting very well from 3 this game. 5 for 31 overall. All right, let's run some offense. Let's get some shots closer to the basket. Let's go mid-range. Let's try to get it to the cup. Let's try to break down this wall. Let's utilize the player in the dunker area as opposed to just leaving them as mostly a decoy. You can see the adjustments being made. You can see the execution being there. And yes, at times the shot making was just not there, especially in the first quarter. Late in the fourth quarter, you could say the same thing. And even for a small stretch in overtime, you could say that. But these magnified moments, you have to be able to perform in those. And the Bucks did that in a close ball game. And this is the kind of ball game that is tailor-made for the Heat to win. Physical defensively, grinded out offensively. I believe they hit 23 pointers. Duncan Robinson just went off. They gave him all he could handle. But you shut down Bam Adebayo. You shut down Jimmy Butler. You played some physical defense yourself. And you made the shots that mattered, especially with Chris Middleton's game winner. The Heat were hell-bent on not allowing any shot to come from the painted area. That means Giannis was rendered useless. And it's crazy saying that, but for the purposes of that play, he was rendered useless because they were not going to allow him to get a shot off. They would much rather have him go to the line with time left on the clock for them to try and go and win it. Instead, Chris Middleton brings the ball up, dribbles away from a double team, rises up above the outstretched arm of Duncan Robinson, drains the basket, 0.5 remaining. On the other end, I enjoy the fact that the Heat were not going to be able to catch and shoot. The very fact that they still forced them into a very tough shot, regardless of the point that they could not even catch and shoot it. I really appreciated that. I really appreciated that. Now, if he would have fouled them, then, that would have been a different story. But he didn't. Play really good defense, forced him to a good shot, a tough shot, missed it. Game over, Bucks win, take a 1-0 lead, something they were not able to do last postseason against the Heat. So you won a gritty ball game, a physical ball game. Move on to game 2. And this is wire to wire. You did not trail not one iota, not a millisecond in that ball game. It was straight domination on the defensive end and on the offensive end. When you go 22 of 53 from 3 and you get Kevin Harlan, that legendary call, he's a flamethrower, hurled at Brent Forbes, you know you're doing something right. You know you're doing something right. That was domination, the likes of which we really haven't seen since quite possibly year 1, maybe mid-year 2 under Budenholzer. I said it on the Toss blog, which you can read at tossnationmedia.com. The shooting is not sustainable, but it's a beautiful watch. That was straight domination. So now you've had a gritty game, a close game. You've had a game where you straight dominated. Your lessons learned during the regular season through these ups and downs have prepared you for these kinds of games, have prepared you for the playoffs. This is probably the best team Budenholzer has had in Milwaukee. And they're just getting started. They're really just now coming into their own. And when you can win a close game, a close, gritty game, and then you turn around and you straight dominate, that's got to be a huge confidence booster for that squad. Because it shows that, man, we can really win games in many different ways. We can really, if they force us to play this game, we could go and win this game. We can find a way and come out with the W. And confidence at this time of year is huge. Momentum at this time of year is huge. A 2-0 lead against a team that has just been an absolute nightmare matchup for you the last couple of seasons. It's huge, but it's nothing to celebrate about. I don't want everybody out there celebrating and acting like the series is over. It's not 3-0. Bucks have a chance for that later this week. It's not 3-0. It's 2-0. You've had 2-0 leads before, and you've seen it evaporate. This is not a time to celebrate. It's not a time to pat yourself on the back. You can be confident in the way that you're playing and the way that you're able to execute. but it's a time to keep your head down, continue to work. It's 2-0. It's a best of 7 series. You got 2 more games to win. But you definitely have to be confident and encouraged by the way you won these first 2 games in different styles, which is something that this up and down regular season has prepared you for. Bucks up 2-0 on the Heat. Looking forward to game 3 to seeing what they're going to get hurled at them then. Continuing here on this all state of the state episode of Toss, let's talk about the Green Bay Packers. Let's talk about them. Yes, they're in OTAs right now, organized team activities. It's voluntary, but typically you get a lot of the big guns coming out for it. And obviously when the big guns don't come out for it, and probably the biggest gun, meaning quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who his beef with the front office continues, it's going to make a lot of news, both locally and nationally. Aaron Rodgers wasn't the only one not there at organized team activities. Here's a full list of everyone who wasn't there, including Aaron Rodgers. Devontae Adams, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Alan Lazard, Devin Funchess, and Equanimeous St. Brown. So all five of the receivers, you're talking top 5 on the depth chart, are also not at OTAs. So Jordan Love, your pick from a couple seasons ago, is making do with a quote-unquote makeshift wide receiver core. But at least this gives the Packers time to really evaluate Jordan Love. It's much the same thing they did with the whole Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers thing. Brett Favre wasn't showing up to OTAs. Gave them a chance to really look at Aaron Rodgers. Get him some snaps. Start to get him groomed. I'm not saying that it's time to start grooming Jordan Love. You have an MVP quarterback, a world champion quarterback, and Aaron Rodgers, who I fully believe will come back to the Packers. It's just a matter of time. Contract negotiations continue for an extension. He had an interview, Aaron Rodgers did. Pre-recorded. It was on SportsCenter with the great Kenny Mayne, who is exiting after 27 years. Big ups to him. What a run. But he had an interview with him. And everybody was just thinking this was just going to be must-see television. And I didn't watch it live. I didn't watch it when they first aired it. I eventually caught it, scrolling through social media and went through a couple of links and watched it. And it was pretty much what I thought it would be. He wasn't going to say anything earth-shattering in that interview. And everyone thought that he was going to because of everything that's been going on and what's true, what isn't. Aaron Rodgers is a guy that plays a lot of things very close to the vest. He will be as honest as he needs to be. And if he doesn't need to reveal something, he will not. He would just keep that close to the vest. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. It may irritate some media members. But when you're around somebody for years or you watch them for years and you just kind of get a feel for them, you understand what they are, who they are, and how they operate. I knew he wasn't going to say anything earth-shattering, but this passage, what do you talk about what his real problem is with the situation? I kind of found it interesting, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, he's not saying anything earth-shattering. I already kind of figured this out, and I think a lot of fans have kind of figured this out. So, quote from Aaron Rodgers from his interview with Kenny Mayne on SportsCenter. Quote, "It's just kind of about a philosophy, and maybe forgetting it is about the people that make the things go. It's about character. It's about culture. It's about doing the things the right way. A lot was put in motion last year. The wrench was just kind of throw into it when I won MVP and play the way I played last year. This is just kind of the spill out of all that. But look, it's about the people. And that's the most important thing. Green Bay has always been about the people. So what I take from that, and that's a direct quote from Aaron Rodgers' his interview with Kenny Mayne, is that he does not like the front office. Doesn't like anybody in the front office. He doesn't like Brian Gutekunst. He doesn't like Russ Ball. He doesn't like Mark Murphy. He doesn't like anybody in the front office. Because he feels that they're going against the culture. They're going against how things have been done in Green Bay for a long time, over 100 years. About it being about the people. And I don't think he's just talking about Packers fans / owners. I think he's talking about players and how you treat them and how you go about business with them because of the way they go about business with you. He feels there's a right way and a wrong way to go about it. Now, I said here on Toss that the Jordan Love pick, from a competition standpoint, miffed him. You drafted a quarterback. You didn't give him a heads up that you were going to do so. Now, people are split on whether or not he should be notified or not. I've already said it multiple times here on this program that when you have a superstar, you treat them differently. You have to massage that relationship very differently than any other player. Because they're the ones that put the butts in seats. They're the ones that make the cash flow to the building, to merchandise, to food stands, all that. You massage that relationship differently, but I digress. I've said it on this program that from a competition standpoint, the Jordan Love pick miffed him. And maybe he should have been given a heads up. Maybe you shouldn't. You can feel whatever way you want to about that. But I've also said that his real issue from people I've spoken with, his real issue was the fact that he was not come to with a contract extension. There was talk of a pay cut. A restructure to give the team a little bit more cash so they could go out there and field the team. That's where all this was really born. This is the whole dawn of it. As I said before, Rodgers saw all this crazy money being thrown around. He knew he wasn't going to get $500 million like a Patrick Mahomes. But he saw Deshaun Watson get his money. He saw Russell Wilson get his money. He saw these quarterbacks going to get their cash. He saw this. Get their coins. He's always said he wanted to retire a Packer. He's still playing at a world championship level. There is no question about that. But from that statement, from that passage, that direct quote from him tells me that he feels exactly what I said to be true. That as a superstar, you need to massage that relationship a little bit differently than you would any other player. Because he's not just any other player. Yes, he is a player, and nobody should be bigger than the team, but that's just not how sports works. Some players are, in fact, bigger than the team because they are a superstar, because they bring in that cash. They put the butts in seats. They make people buy the merchandise, the beer, the food. They are just built different. Therefore, they have to be treated a little bit differently. That is just the reality of it. That is just the absolute reality of it. And when you don't do that, you get a situation like this. Again, I feel like this thing is reconcilable. and that it will be. There'll be a new contract extension in tow that'll be satisfying to both parties. You make your statements on it once, you let it go, and you work after a world championship. You're knocking on the door. It's time to kick it in. Continuing here on Toss State of the State episode, let's finish up with the Milwaukee Brewers, who are currently, as we record this program on a Tuesday, 24-23. That is good for third in the NL Central. The Cubs have gotten a little bit hot, and of course, the Cardinals just seem to always be there. They just always seem to be there. Even when you don't expect them to be, they are just always there. So it's going to be very, very tough towards the top of this division. But 24-23, they just recently went on a 3-game winning streak. They got them back over 500 after they fell under 500 after going on a losing streak where they just could not score a run. But we will get to that in a second. They went through a little bit of a swoon because they couldn't score. Then they went through a little bit of I don't want to say identity change, because honestly, I feel like they don't really have much of an identity at this point. So let me see if I can get these transactions straight. So you traded Orlando Arcia earlier this season because you were so hell-bent on making Luis Urias your everyday shortstop. But then when he started to throw the ball all over the field, 9 errors, including a 3-error game a few weeks ago, you did make a trade for Willie Adames. Or Willie Adames. Or Damesies. And now he's the everyday shortstop. And Urias is now the utility player. So let me get this straight. So are you telling me that the brain trust that includes David Stearns, who's the president of baseball operations, messed up? Are they admitting they messed up? Maybe you should have kept Orlando? This team has an identity crisis. They have not found themselves. I don't know what to make of them. I know the one consistently great thing on this team is the pitching. And I feel so horrible for them. Every day you see a graphic card from them. Brandon Woodruff goes 7 innings, gives up 2 hits, no runs, and 8 strikeouts. Corbin Burns goes 6 innings and gives up 5 hits, 1 earned, and 11 strikeouts. Willie Peralta, 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 10 strikeouts. And every single time they put out one of those graphic cards, seems like the Brewers lose. They scratch across no runs. They scratch across 1 run. It seems like they lose every single time. This pitching deserves better. This offense is paltry. And what did I tell y'all last season? You cannot, under any circumstance, if you're the Milwaukee Brewers, come into 2021 with that same offense you trotted out on the field in 2020. Can't do it. Cannot do it. Now, they're trying to fix it, but for some reason, you're still getting the same results you did in 2020 and 2021. Now, some guys have been out. Kane had been injured. He's finally come back. Yelich has been dealing with the back injury. He finally came back, hit his first home run of the entire season this past Sunday. You're talking about a team that is now 47 games into the season. And Yelich hadn't hit a home run yet. Keston Hiura got sent down. He just finally got called back up to figure himself out because he hasn't been hitting the ball. And that kid's a way better hitter than what he has been this season. I don't know if it's just guys having historically terrible years. I don't know if it's the hitting coach that is just not getting through to these guys or just teaching them terrible philosophies. But this pitching on this team is far too good for it to be suffering from an inept offense. And there are too many guys up and down this lineup that you know can hit better than they do. Too many of them to be hitting like that. Something's got to give. Something's got to give. There is no way all those guys can have holes in their bats like that. Something's got to change. I don't know if it's philosophy. I don't know if guys need to break their swing down and rebuild or what the case is. But the pitching on this team is far too good to be victims to a paltry, inept offense. What's happened last season is happening again this season. And I didn't think that would happen. I thought this team had and it's not like they're far out of it. They're over 500. They're hanging in there. They're still afloat. They're third in their division. There's 2 wild cards. And a lot of season left. But you're going to start losing ground if this offense doesn't remember how to hit and score runs. And remember, situational hitting. This guy's on third. We've got less than 1 out or 1 out. I need to hit this ball so far down and fall out the field and get this run in. Sack fly. We got no outs. This guy's on first. He's got some speed. Why not do a sacrifice? I mean, something's just got to give. I mean, it can't continue to go on this way. It pains me when I go out there and see Woodruff do his thing, or Burns go out and do his thing, or fastball Freddie, a.k.a. strikeout Freddie, Peralta go out and do his thing. And they give you exactly what you need, 6 and 7 innings of really good work, keeping those guys off the board as much as they possibly can, only to fall victims to the ND or the loss after they only give up like 1 run. It's a lot of time left. Like I said, they've only played at this point, as we record this program, 47 games. But this philosophy has got to change. It's got to change real fast if they have any designs on making postseason again. Well, y'all, that'll do it for me. So episode 83, Toss Tradition on Sports Show. Y'all know where to find me on social media. At the20double. That's at the number 2, the number 0, and the word double on Instagram and Twitter. Follow me there. Facebook.com/T on Sports Show. That's TON Sports Show is the home of the Toss Facebook page, where we touch on a lot of things there that we don't necessarily get a chance to on this program. Facebook.com/T on Sports Show. That's TON Sports Show. And TossNationMedia.com, your home for the Toss brand of sports. Truthful, opinionated, passionate sports. It's what you deserve. But, as I said before, it's time for me to get on up out of here. This is T-Squared, Tristan Thomas, reminding all of you to keep it moving forward. Always forward. The word always. Until next week, so long from Toss.